Nervous system is attached to your spine, and to that all the organs are attached to that. It's very simple science. Once you understand that, how important the health of your spine is. Spine is everything. So especially in cancer, when any patient is going through a chemo, the very first thing they face is back pain, spasms, weakness, then due to that name cancer itself, that fear that, oh my god, this is cancer. So that mind becomes so unstable, the anxiety problems, stress, depression. So how to overcome? So yoga play a very important role, especially the breathing play a very important role to overcome all these problems.
Deep inside our brain, there is something called hypothalamus amygdala that is the same as reptiles, alligator, crocodile, they have the same brain, dinosaur, same brain. We only have a small human brain on top, which is a small layer called the cortex. The rest all belongs to animals. All of them have it. You are nothing special. So we work through that. What do you mean by that? Suppose my next door neighbor makes a good house, or he changes the roof and it's a beautiful color, or he buys a new Tesla. So what can I do? I am just jealous of him. Or I think I am more intelligent than my friend Nitin, but Nitin gets a big job in his company and I see, oh, I'm more intelligent than him. How come I don't get a raise? He gets a raise. So I am jealous of him. So if I was a dinosaur, I would have gone and eaten him up. But I can't eat him up. Who am I? Am I eating somebody? Yes. Who am I eating? I am eating myself. Why? Because brain does not understand jealousy. Brain does not understand competitiveness. Brain understands run or kill. Because that's what they did as an animal for 4 million years. That's why our scripture says you have to move from animal to human being to Godhead.
So if you're attuned to the news, like a lot of us turn on our news channel or get news from Twitter probably at our age, you see a lot of things that aren't pleasant to see, like humanitarian crises, whether it be food shortages or wars like the one currently happening in Ukraine with Russia, or the inevitable natural disaster that affects some part of the globe every single week. So that begs the question, when things happen at such a big scale like this, is God influencing that situation? Is he kind of making sure that it happens, or is he not involved in that? Obviously there's some role of the people involved as well in these situations in terms of violence, if we're talking about specifically, but we were just wondering what God's role in such situations was as well.
Yes, Siddhi, whenever something happens, it could be because of the actions of people or the will of God. Now, it is not given to human beings to know why exactly something happened. So some questions will always be questions. But there is no doubt that God could have a hand, especially in big macro events. Like this pandemic that came and spread all over. There could be the hand of God there. When in the year 2008, I was to come here for a short time, that was so I was with Kripalji Maharaj and I was pressing his feet, and he knew that I was going to be leaving for the USA, so he used to listen to the news every day, and that was the time when, I think it was 2008 or 2009, when there was a huge recession that started off in the US and it affected the entire world. Maharaji said, there is a huge recession. Obama is trying stimulus after stimulus. nothing is working. Then he looked at me and said, when God doesn't want it to work, what can human beings do? That made me think God wanted the recession to happen. So there are some macro events that are orchestrated by the divine because He sometimes pushes us out of our comfort zone. So that we are forced to focus not on external comforts but on our inner growth. And sometimes Sri Aurobindo said this. Sri Aurobindo was a deep believer in the control of macro events by God. He said sometimes when God finds that the mass in his hand is very crude, he hits it against each other because he feels that is the way that it will grow further and evolve further. But of course that is the perspective. Nevertheless, don't first of all expose yourself to the news too much, ration it out. Because there's a whole lot of junk. Now there are 190 countries that are not at war. And there is never any news saying there is no war going on between India and Pakistan. But the news is blaring over and over and again, 120th day of the Ukraine war. That's how this news is. And even if you wish to get the news, Twitter is not the medium for it. Because what is happening is that people are getting an opportunity to vent their frustrations and their resentments. You get the worst of all that through these social media. So instead of that, find some more reliable, trustworthy sources of news and just educate yourself about what's happening maybe once a week. That will appraise you of the goings on in the world.
It doesn't give you any instant pleasure. There is some discomfort to begin with, but a long-term happiness is guaranteed. So unlike other tools that are there, like some pharmaceuticals and other ideologies that you may have, there is no instant pleasure here. And so obviously those tools may give you instant pleasure, they may not need any sadhana, and you will get immediate gratification. But in the long run, it leads to unhealthiness, unrest, and unhappiness. And obviously, yoga is a self-discipline. It is swadhyaya, and you have to do it yourself. There is nobody forcing it on you, and it has to come out of your own. And so obviously, there are no sellers here to make profit from yoga. That's why I believe there is not much propagation of yoga, unlike pharmaceuticals.
गोविंद गुण गाए